a song for you.
You're listening to Deep Purple Smoke on the Podcast. I will do one episode for each song the band recorded in the studio. However, this is a fan podcast and not band endorsed. It's more of a tribute to their long history, well beyond just the hits, and my way of giving something back to a band that has given so much to me. Let's dig in! Hello and welcome to another episode of Deep Purple Smoke on the Podcast. I am your host, Scott Haskin, and I am bringing you a new Deep Purple song for our Friday episode. Got a couple episodes to go. We'll have those for you next week, Monday and Tuesday, and then back to just the Haskincast podcast for a while, maybe through the Samhain podcast. Who knows? We'll see how it goes. For now, though, we still have to cover our song today. This one is called My New Movie.
What you doing Wednesday? If you got nothing on, drop by. We'll start rocking on a block. Just take a look around. Use your imagination. It's easy to improve on what we got. I got a half-written script, catering and lights, a shitload of cameras and a crew. I got costumes, makeup, and a double-wide trailer. Now all I really need is you.
I find it fascinating when I think about how this song is making me feel. And there are so many factors beyond the music that come together to shape your listening experience, especially when you're listening to a new project for the first time and the first couple times until you start to get used to it. If those listens are fairly close together, they're going to be consistent with things like the weather, just whether it's sunny out, rainy out, if you're having a good day, if you've had a frustrating day, that sort of thing. Today, oddly enough, I've had a particularly shitty day, but this is actually making me feel really good. Like it starts off right away. Obviously, they're just like a couple notes and we're right into vocals, which they don't do a lot, but they have done a couple times. And then, because it tends to get too formulaic if you do it any other way. You know, you have your keyboard intro or guitar intro, then the drums and bass come in, and whichever you didn't do the intro with, that instrument comes in, or you stagger them. I mean, it does become a little bit formulaic. So it's nice to have some variety in here. But just the sound of this, it feels very happy. It feels very warm and inviting and uplifting. And it's a combination, I think, of the tempo, the vocal, and the organ in the background, like just the melody of it. Very strong organ. Again, I would have to say balance might be slightly off here for me as I listen through the media player. When I play it back, it's a little bit better, but still, I would say just slightly off for me. But boy, I just like, it just makes me feel good. How can I not like that? Wait a minute. I think I might know why. It's not exactly the same notation. But if you think about when they do this live, and I can't remember what song it is that they go into it from. I know with Perfect Strangers, they end up with I Don't Want to Taste Your Poison No More. But there's something else that they've done where they go into the song Jesus Christ Superstar, which is ironic because Jesus doesn't sing that in the play. But oh God, it's going to bug me what that is. But I remember them doing just like the Jesus Christ Superstar. Do you think you're what we say you are? That part, like that's the melody to this song. It's not the same notation, but it's basically the same type of progression where you go up, where you go down. Maybe that's part of it because I've always enjoyed that song. I don't know. It could just be the whole feel of the song itself, but that is kind of ringing a little bit of a bell here. The backing music is so fascinating through this part. How do you listen to this? Because remember, they do the music first, and then Ian and Roger work on the vocals. How do you have this background of music and come up with that way of delivering the vocals? That is pretty amazing. I I'm fascinated by that. I'm going to have to dig into that a little more myself and just see if I can figure out how that came together because I'm really curious. But I like this chorus. I like the idea of doing the sequel first, and it's going to just get worse because that does happen. In fact, I listened to an interview clip a while back. I don't remember who it was, but they were speculating that Jaws was the cause of the sequel franchise and how it just got worse and worse as each movie went along. First one, incredible film, historic for me and my friend Mark Roback, especially one of the best films ever made, if not the best film, if you want to compare them. Definitely a top favorite of mine at the very least. And then you look at Jaws 2. Okay, Jaws 2 is pretty good. It still had Roy Scheider. We knew we weren't getting Quint. You don't get Matt Hooper. So the dynamic has changed there. It doesn't have quite the same character charm that the first one did, but and kind of a dumber way to kill the shark, but still a pretty good movie. You get, Brody now what's happened to him the next year and still the annoyance with the mayor. Like there's still some good charm in it. Jaws 3, completely horrible. I mean, just like so dependent on technology and not enough story. Really ridiculous when you think about it. But then you get to Jaws 4, Jaws the Revenge, and you're like, this has just got to be like, why would they even bother filming this? Who greenlit this script? I mean, it does have its moments, but the whole premise of the film is just ridiculous, that it's the shark family against the Brody family, and they've just been on this all-out war from Jaws 1. So it has a lot of issues. But I think that's an interesting way to say it. Like, we'll do the sequel first, because sometimes you write a movie and you're like, okay, this isn't the right one for us to shoot first. We need to go back in time, tell this story instead of going back and doing it as a prequel. Here's where we really need to start. And I guess one of the scripts that was considered for Jaws 2, and I don't know if this is the one that Spielberg was interested in or who it was, but they actually wanted to go back and tell Quint's story of the USS Indianapolis, which could have been very interesting. But in any case, I love that line that it's just going to, we'll do the sequel first and it's just going to get worse. Very, very true to form for most movie franchises.
You are notorious for battering down doors and charging upstream against the trend. But that's when our war's gonna be rough in the making. But man, we're gonna get there in the end. I gotta screw all the rules, break with convention, shake it and watch it bear fruit. With a jaw-dropping, mind-blowing mother of a movie, man, we're getting ready to shoot.
Yeah, I think, again, we're suffering a little bit from everything being panned towards the center. I love these little keyboard licks that we're getting in between the lines. This is very classic Deep Purple to do these little fill-ins and keep it interesting, as we build from one verse to another. So that's not surprising, but it's kind of all the same sound, isn't it? I mean, we're getting this really, really heavy main keyboard line, and then we're getting a similar sounding keyboard underneath of it. Might have been better to go with a different sound, a different EQ, something to kind of separate it a little bit more. But I love the performance. I also think the guitars are really interesting, how patient they are, just playing the riff, bass right underneath of that, not doing any shining in this at all, just really holding down the fort. And that's great because we only need so many things to go on that are potentially distracting from the vocal, because again, that's where your story is. So I like the dynamics of it. I like the setup. Not happy with the mix, but that's what we've got in this whole album.
Come on, baby, you wanna be in my new movie. I mean, quiet on the set. I said my new movie. You wanna place your bedside. You ain't seen nothing yet.
I love that beat in the chorus that just holds for a second. Like, you expect that crash cymbal to hit, but it just waits an extra beat. And I really like that. I mean, obviously along with the rest of the instruments, but that's, what you're just ready to hear. This is really interesting. It's got like a little bit of a bluesy feel to it, but it's got a little bit of showmanship to it. I almost see like the background female singers with, like the short skirts and the boots doing that leg kick on the beat. And I don't know, like the imagery to this for me so far is really bizarre. And I don't know what the setting would be. I almost, if you guys remember the video for She's a Beauty by the Tubes, where they're at a carnival. I know that like the weirdest comparison on earth ever, but I'm thinking of like those dark clouds in the background, the circus lights, and I just picture there being like a stage where some bands are playing, and it's kind of, you know, visual, where you've got those dancers that are synchronized and just kind of doing those emphasis leg kicks and all that. Like that's for some reason what I'm picturing. I almost see Ian Gillan in a white suit and a top hat, just like, you know, I don't know what you call it, what the technique is, but where you just like hold the hat by one side of the brim with one hand and then you just kind of rattle it back and forth, whatever that's called, hat rattle, I don't know. But for some reason, like this is all the stuff that's coming into my mind, and almost like Alice Cooper, where he carries the it's not a cane or a walking stick, it's just like a showman stick, I don't know what you call it, but just like that, you know, almost like a magician that's going to pull a rabbit out of the top hat, that little stick that they carry. I don't know, like I'm getting the weirdest visuals with this, but it's a really weird song, but it's a lot of fun, isn't it? Really cool. I love that. They've gotten so good at doing these little sections before they go into the instrumental, where they do like this little progressive bit. Very smooth, flows very well. They're all playing together nicely. Again, the sound of that keyboard has that slightly, it's not the percussive keyboard, but it's got some of the tonalities of what you would hear at like the beginning of Child in Time. And then, you know, the guitar, the way that those sound together, the particular tones, it is really pleasing to my ear. I love this part. Rogers seems to be playing a little bit more root on this, which I think is interesting. So I'm wondering if they do a repeat, if he's going to be a little more adventurous. Because I kind of see them doing something like that. Not uncommon for the band. Do something straightforward the first time, go a little crazy with it the last time, like maybe right before the end of the song. Yeah, I dig this. I mean, obviously we're heading into a guitar solo here, which I'm very interested to hear. But this little part is cool. Again, though, I'm starting to wonder, haven't we heard sections like this already? You do the verse, chorus, little progressive part, then we go into the solo. And I'm just starting to wonder, and again, I really don't know these songs that well yet, guys. This is the third time hearing them, so I don't even connect the names to the songs yet on a lot of them. If I hear the beginning of the song, I'll be like, oh yeah, I think I know what this one is. But I don't have a relationship with these songs. So everything is very much outside of that. But it feels like we've heard this set up a couple of times already on this album. I could be wrong. I want to be fair, but it seems very familiar. I love the shuffle feel here. That sounds great. Nice background for the solo. I like Roger's melodic rhythm here, the backdrop for the solo. Again, like they're really good at creating solid backdrops for solos. The solo itself, I was really enjoying it. Didn't really care as much for that flashy bit, but you know, that's all part of it. If that's what he's feeling when he's playing the solo, then that's fine. Just not as much for me, but that's okay. The rest of it I really enjoyed, and now we're heading into something a little different. Oh, a little Jesu Joy of Man's Desiring Never Hurt Anyone. Love that piece of music. There was a wonderful version of that on the soundtrack for The Island. I don't recall it actually being in the film, but it must have been, you know, background music somewhere. But that was on there. There was a wonderful version that Christopher Parkening did. I covered it on my Mental Sauna 3 Christmas Inflections album. Just a fun piece of music. I've always enjoyed that. One of my favorite holiday pieces. And now back to the song. So something happened here for me, and I don't know exactly what it was. The keyboard solo was great. I loved it. Um, but something happened underneath to the rhythm for me. It seemed to lose its oomph when the guitar solo was going. Like the rhythm behind the solo felt powerful, strong, like we're moving ahead. And for some reason during this keyboard solo, it didn't change tempo, but it just felt kind of, I don't know, weaker. Maybe the guitar taking over and it wasn't as heavy in the mix as throwing it off compared to what we've heard before. Something about this is just a little off. Like, yes, the tempo's still there, the performance is still there, but sometimes you hear something and it should be fine, but it just lacks a little bit of something. And I don't know exactly what it was. And hopefully that is just something I'm hearing on this listen and I won't experience again going forward. But yeah, there's definitely a little something. Okay, definitely another definitive ending, and that's okay. I feel like this would probably translate to the stage very well. In fact, I'd be curious to hear what they would do with it live. But yeah, overall, the song's really good. It's got a lot of unexpected parts in it. Certainly wouldn't imagine Jesu Joy of Man's Desiring in the middle of this song. Don't know where that came from, but I enjoyed it. Almost wish I could hear maybe Don doing that, an extended version of that in one of his solos or something, maybe jazz it up a little bit. I liked that there was a bit of a shuffle during the part of the solo section. I thought that was good. Love the vocals, great keyboard solo, good guitar solo, just didn't, 100% grip me. But there's a lot of good in this song. I'm kind of bummed that we didn't get that progressive part again with a more aggressive nature, but it might not have fit the song. So that's okay. It just would have been interesting to hear if they would have pumped that up a level and see what they would have done with it. But yeah, good song, very solid. The one thing that I've heard is that this album feels like a return to the 70s for Deep Purple. I'm definitely not getting that on the musical side. And I have to wonder if that is more maybe up to Machine Head, not so much Who Do We Think We Are, where the band was really fragmented, but just the songwriting, the comfortability, the contribution, but not necessarily the style of music. This feels more like something, I think I would probably tie it more to maybe Perpendicular than anything else. That's the first thing that comes to mind. A band and had a completely different feel to it. I would say probably Perpendicular or that I think would be closer for me than say like Machine Head. Definitely not Fireball. I mean, they were not doing songs like these during Fireball. So I don't, as I was telling somebody today, it's like the memories that Ian has and what he's associating with are not necessarily the sound of the album. It just might have had, he might be reminded of the good times of the earlier Purple when they were working together, when it was a collaborative effort writing songs and everybody was kind of getting along and it was a pressure process but still a lot of fun stuff like that. If it's musically, I'm lost in identifying that because I'm just not seeing that similarity, but that's just me. And again, I've only heard these songs a couple times. They are shorter than, we don't have like one long epic song on this album. Nothing is over 5 minutes, which is interesting. I feel like some of these could have had some extended jams that could have worked, but then again, maybe they're saving them for the stage. Who knows? Or maybe they just didn't want to do that on this album. The timing of the songs does feel potentially like we really want to keep this a certain way and then writing towards that notion. I don't know, but I think this is a really cool song. I definitely dig it. I'm definitely looking forward to hearing it more times and letting it become something that I get to know really well, like with all the songs that we've heard so far. So great job again, Deep Purple. Thank you guys for joining me for this episode. We will be off for the weekend. I don't think there's anything running Haskincast wise over the weekend, but there's always that chance that something will crop up between this recording and that airing. But I hope that you guys have a great weekend. Come back for our last 2 episodes, Monday and Tuesday. Cheers. Thanks for listening to Deep Purple Smoke on the Podcast, a tour of the entire Deep Purple studio recordings. Please remember to give the show a rating on Apple Podcasts or wherever you're listening. Leave a comment and tell your friends. I also have a Patreon set up if you'd like to support the show. You can also write to me at smokeonthepodcast@gmail.com. I hope you enjoyed the episode and thanks for listening.